this is a crazy thing about trust. I mean, we're talking about trust. It's essential for the performance of the team. It's the foundation of a healthy relationship. Only 21% of U.S. employees strongly agree that they trust the leadership of their organization. You think about how abysmal that is and how critical trust is to the quality of our relationships, to the way we feel about the place we are, to our sense of belonging, to our alignment, to how we view ourselves in the future. When you think about only 21%, I mean, and we can all personally intuit, would we stay in a relationship where we don't trust the other person? How would we feel if we were a part of the team where trust simply didn't exist? And, you don't feel safe. Trust and safety are very correlated. Like, think of trust as you giving others the benefit of the doubt when you take a risk. And psychological safety really is about others giving you the benefit of the doubt. It's like, do you trust the people around you? Am I safe? Only 21% of employees state that they trust the leadership of their organization. Only 26% of leaders have developed the necessary skills to create safety on their teams. When you look at the trust deficit, it's a crisis. That's like a leadership crisis. No wonder people feel, 72% of people feel stressed and overwhelmed and anxious, and 1 out of 3 people are burned out. Go somewhere and spend 8 to 10 hours a day in the absence of trust and see how you feel after a while. That's how you're gonna feel. So these things are correlated. Trust isn't something you mandate. It's something that's earned through the consistency of your behavior. How does somebody know to trust somebody? When did you trust me? When did you know you could trust me with the secret? When did you know you could trust me to have a conversation outside of business that was about your personal life? When did you know you could trust me to have a transparent enough conversation, even though I'm a client, you could tell me about a challenge you were facing in your business? It wasn't the first hour you met me. And then you think about why were you able to trust me to say those things? And that's something that's earned incrementally over time. It's not just handed away. And it's based on really continual deposits in the bank of a relationship. And so trust grows and is earned incrementally over time through our behavior. And when there's congruence between our communication and our action, it becomes a force multiplier. And it's a catalyst for creating trust. When there's inconsistencies or discrepancies between what we say and what we do, it can erode trust, and that can happen in a second. If I tell everybody on my team next Monday we're going to do this, and then we don't do it next Monday, am I a trustworthy leader? There are a couple of things that leaders can do. Number one, you have to create standards. So standards of excellence that are upheld consistently. So there's what we do in our company, there's what we do at Impact 11, there's how we're going to do it. And so how actually is a mechanism that starts to create trust. This is how we're going to treat each other. This is how we're going to communicate. This is how we're going to hold one another accountable. This is how performance is going to be evaluated. This is how we're going to create expectations and manage to those expectations. They're basically agreements about how we're going to work. And then a leader's job is, one, communicating those, and then second, upholding them. Companies have core values, but are the core values lived? Are they felt? Are they embraced? Do we align to those things? Again, congruence. Congruence is the force multiplier. It's the catalyst of creating trust. And I think, so that's the first thing. But there are two other things that leaders really have to do. And so it's communication and consistency in communication. So the quality of our communication actually can ultimately, over time, begin to initiate these bonds and this trust. But part of the communication, leaders have to have the courage to move directly into conflict. Avoided conflict only grows, and if you're inconsistent in the way you manage to expectations, standards, performance, the way you hold people accountable, trust is eroded. Like you get what you tolerate. And so if you tolerate backstabbing and gossip and infighting, and 1 week you hold people accountable, but the next week you don't, that's inconsistent, and ultimately it erodes trust. If I'm a leader, I have to ask those questions. How trustworthy is our team? And do people trust one another? Do I trust everybody? And do people trust me as the leader? And does everybody feel safe? I always think it's important to ask, is there a conversation that I know I need to have that I'm avoiding right now? And if the answer is yes, then you have to think about what it would take to be able to move into that space where you're able to have a hard conversation, because they're necessary for a team to function properly. And I think as leaders and managers, to create the right kind of environment, we probably have to be in a position where we're willing to step into those and facilitate.